late 2012 iMac was struggling to handle 4K video editing, and I desperately needed a desktop upgrade. However, there was a problem. I wanted a desktop that was powerful enough to edit 4K video, I wanted it to run macOS, and most importantly, I wanted it to be cheap. Surely what I was looking for didn't exist. Or did it? After doing extensive research, I decided that building a Hackintosh wasn't right for me because I wanted genuine macOS. I also didn't want to buy a new Mac because that would be way beyond my budget. But there was just one more option. I could buy a used 5.1 Mac Pro. 5.1 refers to the last of the cheese grater Mac Pros. They were made in 2010 and 2012 and were built for creative professionals and people who needed Macs for big workloads at the beginning of the 2010 decade. If they were just as old as my iMac, then why would I buy another Mac from the same year? Well, you see, these weren't just Apple computers in my opinion, these were the best Macs ever built. This makes sense as it comes from the Steve Jobs era of Apple computers. The first step was actually buying one of these. For days I looked on the internet on sites such as Kijiji and the Letgo app, and I found some results that looked pretty promising. I found a 2010 Mac Pro that had a 6-core Xeon, 12GB of RAM, and the original hard drive and graphics card. I made an agreement to pay 500 Canadian dollars for it if he delivered it to where I live. I was so excited that I was finally going to have a computer upgrade. This is until he texted me the following morning that he sold it to another guy for more money. Well, that sucked and was a complete waste of time. The second time around, I found another 2010 Mac Pro with a 6-core Xeon, 32GB of RAM, a 2TB of storage, and the original graphics card. The price for this one was 450 Canadian dollars, so not bad. This time I had a better seller and I actually bought it, so cool. When I got it, I was so excited to boot this thing up and upgrade it. Upon booting it up, I could see that it was running OS X El Capitan. However, it was locked with a password, and when I contacted the seller, he said to use the other hard drive and do a fresh install, so that's what I did. Upon opening the case, I found some weird surprises. In the optical disk drive bay, I found some puzzle pieces, an eraser, and a 4GB stick of DDR3 RAM. Okay, I threw everything in the garbage except for the stick of RAM, then proceeded to do a fresh install of macOS High Sierra from a USB stick. The install went well, all I had to do was update the firmware on the motherboard. When I booted up the OS, I was surprised at the sheer speed of the computer on a 10-year-old hard drive. Thankfully, it was a 7200 RPM Western Digital Enterprise drive, which are known to be pretty reliable. For a while, I used the Mac as is, and it worked very well, especially considering the machine was nearly 10 years old. But as previously mentioned, I wanted to do some upgrades to get this thing more modern. Here is a list of upgrades I've done on the machine. First, I upgraded the graphics card from the stock Radeon HD 5770, which only had a measly 1GB of VRAM, to a Gigabyte RX 570 with 4GB of VRAM. This graphics card would allow me to better run Metal-compatible applications and update to macOS Mojave, the latest OS this machine can officially support. After updating to Mojave, I figured it was time to update the 10-year-old hard drive because it was making annoying clicking sounds. So I got my hands on a 250GB Samsung 850 EVO, which would be my boot drive and hold all my important applications and iCloud Drive files. I then ordered a 2TB Seagate Barracuda hard drive at 7200 RPM to hold the rest of my files, photos, and videos. With it, I ordered an Icy dock which would allow me to mount the SSD to one of the drive sleds. This is how my Mac Pro is currently configured, and I'm very happy with it. I use it for web browsing, watching YouTube, and doing schoolwork. The more demanding tasks I use it for are 4K video editing, Photoshop, Lightroom, and the occasional game. Now I know what you're thinking, gaming on a Mac? That's crazy. The only games I've really played on this machine are Fortnite, Rocket League, and Minecraft, all of which run at high settings and between 60 and 100 FPS, which is respectable for a Mac. Although that RX 570 certainly helps, and even better, it helps with video editing. Video editing is primarily CPU dependent and especially multi-core dependent, which is why it works well on this 6-core Xeon processor. However, the GPU is helpful for rendering live effects and such while video editing. So what are my final thoughts? Is it worth it to buy a 10-year-old Mac? First, I'll say if you already own one, it's worth holding on to with a few upgrades to make it more modern. As for should you actually buy one? I would say if you want a powerful upgradable Mac for cheap, then yes, this machine is worth it if you can get a good price for it. It can handle demanding tasks just as good as modern Macs, if not better than some. Not only does it look nice, but is easy to upgrade and is still the choice desktop for a lot of creative professionals. Well, that's about it for this video. What do you think of the 5.1 Mac Pro? Is it a good choice for you? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you would like to see more content like this. Anyway, this has been William from Wink Tech, and I will see you in the next video.